The mystery of the World Fair incubator babies? Today we're going to talk about the bizarre phenomena of inventoriums at world fairs throughout the world, and how one mysterious showman saved the lives of thousands of premature babies. Hope you guys have been enjoying the consistency. Today's video is going to be a little different from all the other videos I've done. I'm going to go back to some other topics such as world fairs, the 1800s, void century, and this topic to me was very interesting. Inventoriums at world fairs. So anyway, let's talk about it. Strange but true, Coney Island's craziest ever exhibit, incubators containing real premature babies. Coney Island in the early 1900s boasted an array of eye-opening sideshows. Midget City, a village with 300 little people living inside, reenactments of real-life natural disasters, including the San Francisco earthquake, and 1902 Johnstown's flood, and Lionel the lion-faced man among them. But perhaps the most jaw-dropping attraction of all, rows of tiny premature babies living in glass incubators, fighting to survive, as the paying public looked on. The mysterious man behind the exhibit was French-born Martin Couney, dubbed the Incubator Doctor. There aren't a lot of people today who know his name, but Couney was a pioneer in treatment of babies who were born premature, saving the lives of literally thousands of little ones. Pretty astounding, since Couney wasn't a renowned physician. In fact, some believe he wasn't even a licensed doctor at all. So yes, Dr. Martin Couney was not a doctor at all. In fact, he was just a strange, mysterious showman. Yet created these inventoriums with incubators that actually worked. At an amusement park out of all places. At a World Fair amusement park as some sideshow attraction. You would think this type of technology would have been developed, in like a hospital setting, a medical setting where it's properly studied and looked after, but it was at a world fair. In fact, many world fairs throughout the world. It was at the Berlin Exposition in 1896 that Dr. Couney saw the newfangled glass and metal incubators and hatched a plan to bring them to the United States. Starting in 1903, the Coney Island boardwalk became his home turf. A banner that read, "All the world loves a baby," hung outside the entrance of the exhibit. Visitors paid 25 cents to get a glimpse of the tiny preemies, encased in rows of incubators and tended to by a team of nurses and wet nurses who lived on site. Many of the infants in the exhibit came to Couney from local hospitals that couldn't care for them. Another interesting fact to mention is many of these premature babies, a good chunk of them, were actually from foundling orphans. Now the foundlings, the worldwide orphan phenomena, is a whole nother mystery on its own. Throughout the 1800s and the late 1800s, there was this phenomena of orphans that were found worldwide. And in America, there was something called the orphan trains, where many orphans, around 250,000 or more, were shipped on trains to rural cities in America and were adopted by families and farms. And many of these people that adopted these orphans were factory owners. That's where you get a lot of pictures of young kids working on these factories and on these farms. So that's a whole nother mystery on its own. There's no official explanation where all these orphans came from exactly. There's just all these little bizarre stories like, oh, their parents got sick and then they died. Oh, their parents got sick, they passed away, couldn't take care of them anymore. Or all these orphans are all casualty from war and now they don't have any parents anymore. And there's just all these bizarre stories that kind of don't really line up. But yeah, a decent chunk of these infants were actually from the foundlings. The medical establishment was appalled by the exhibit, deeming it exploitative, and accused Couney of being a fraud. There were regular attempts to shut him down. At the time in the US anyway, doctors believed that premature babies were lost causes and left their fates in the hands of God. Dr. Couney is the proprietor of the incubator baby exhibits at many of the large expositions and world fairs during the early 1900s, accumulating in a large pavilion at the New York World's Fair in 1939 through 1940s, as you can see on the right-hand side of this picture. Couney disagreed, countering that his facility was technically a hospital, not some quirky sideshow attraction. And under the care of he and his team, the infants stood a fighting chance. In the years to come, Couney would set up similar facilities at Atlantic City, as well as take his show on the road to other amusement parks and world fairs across the country. By the 1930s, the stubborn medical community was coming around, offering Couney their respect. Some doctors sent premature babies to Couney for care. In fact, it wasn't until after his death in the 1950s that the incubators became a mainstream in maternity wards across the country. So yes, that is the mysterious, bizarre case of a showman known by the name of Dr. Martin Couney, who wasn't even a doctor. He was just a showman, yet created this interesting incubator technology. And this was all very interesting. For example, here's a diploma issued by the baby incubators. This is to certify that baby Catherine Ash received its start in life at the Baby Incubator Institution at the New York's World Fair in the summer of 1939. And what got me the most was on all these signs at the inventoriums at the World Fairs, there's this phrase that they would put at the top, and it says, "Infant incubators with living infants." What I find kind of strange is, why do they need to imply that it has living infants? Were they supposed to be dead or something? Isn't it kind of obvious that incubators have living infants in them? But yeah, that was pretty weird. Yeah, I don't know, very mysterious stuff. Fair is a mystery on its own as well. It was a worldwide phenomenon during the turn of the century. During the late 1800s, early 1900s, world fairs were popping everywhere. And at a bunch of these world fairs, they had these inventoriums with incubators. And the babies, and many of the babies came from these foundlings and orphans, which nobody knows exactly where they came from. I even found this one picture of one of the inventoriums, and on the sign it says, kind of hard to see because there is a pillar in front of it, but on the sign it says, "Infant Incubator Scientific Demonstrations of Creating Living Babies by a Magical Means." So that was pretty interesting. So yeah, guys, let me know what you think. I thought this was a very interesting mystery. I love mysteries, and I absolutely love the 1800s. I love the turn of the century. It's such a mysterious time. There's all this weird stuff happening during that time. And this is one of the weird phenomena that was happening, the inventoriums at world fairs. Very, very interesting stuff. Again, shout out to all my patrons. Thank you to some of the new patrons that joined. I really do appreciate you guys and all your support. There will be a new video coming out there soon. Your support helps me find more time to research and create these videos and find more interviews. So I really do appreciate that. If you would like to join Patreon, you can join for as little as $1 a month. The link will be in the bio. Let me know your thoughts and comments below. Subscribe, like, turn on post notifications. Thank you so much, and we are out.